Philadelphia news, team of my heart.
The Philadelphia 76ers just lost another player to injury, and this time, it might actually force Daryl Morey to do what he should have done months ago. But here's the thing. The trade restriction window lifts in exactly 2 weeks, which means the Sixers have 14 days to fix this mess or watch their entire season collapse in real time. And I'm not being dramatic here. This is actually happening because on Tuesday night, not only did the Magic absolutely destroy Philly on their home court, but mid-game, one of their key role players went down clutching his groin. And just like that, the Sixers lost the one guy who was holding their entire forward rotation together. This is massive. If the front office doesn't act fast, if they don't pull off a trade in the next 2 weeks, this team is cooked. But is Daryl Morey actually going to do it? Because Sixers fans have heard this story before, right? Big injury happens, front office promises action, then nothing. They just run it back with the same flawed roster and hope Joel Embiid can save them. Except this time, Embiid can't even stay on the court. Paul George is hurt again, and now their Swiss Army knife just went down too. So what exactly happened, and why does this injury change everything? Well, let me paint you a picture. The Sixers are already playing these funky lineup combinations because they don't have enough size at the 4 spot. Kelly Oubre has been out. Paul George, the max contract guy they just signed, he's been in street clothes more than a uniform. And the coaching staff has been scrambling, moving guys out of position, trying anything to fill that forward hole. It's been ugly. But there was one player who was making it work. One guy who could score, space the floor, facilitate, and play solid defense all at once. He was literally their only stable option at forward. And then Tuesday night happens. Groin strain. Done. And suddenly, the Sixers have 0 reliable forwards on their active roster. 0. Do you understand how bad that is for a team with championship aspirations? It's like showing up to a gunfight with a butter knife. You're not winning that battle. Now, some people might say, well, injuries happen. Just wait for guys to come back. Sure, except we've been saying that about this team for 2 years now. Remember last season when Joel Embiid played just 19 games? Remember when they paid Paul George a max deal and he immediately got hurt again? This isn't bad luck anymore. This is a pattern. And patterns don't fix themselves. They require action. Which is why this injury, as unfortunate as it is, might actually be the best thing that could have happened to Philadelphia. Because it exposes what we all knew, but nobody wanted to admit. This roster has a massive structural flaw. They have no depth at forward, they have no size behind Embiid, and they're paying guys like Eric Gordon who, according to multiple reports, have little to no use on this team. That's not me being mean, that's just reality. The front office has dead weight on the roster, and they've been too scared or too stubborn to do anything about it. But here's where it gets interesting. The NBA trade restriction window, the period where recently signed players can't be moved, that window lifts in 2 weeks, which means December 15th rolls around, and suddenly, the entire league opens up for business. Contracts that were untouchable last month become available. Role players on bad teams become gettable. And the Sixers, who are currently spiraling with a 4-game losing streak and bodies dropping left and right, they'll finally have the option to make a move. But option is the key word there, because Daryl Morey still has to actually pull the trigger. And if you know anything about Morey's history, the man loves to tinker but hates to overpay. He's the guy who will wait for the perfect deal, even if it means watching his team struggle for months. So the question isn't whether the Sixers need to make a trade. Obviously they do. The question is, will Morey actually do it in time, or will he overthink it until it's too late? Let's talk about what they actually need. Size, length, a forward who can defend, rebound, and not completely kill the offense. Ideally someone who can shoot a little bit, because spacing is already a problem when Embiid posts up. They need a guy who can play next to Joel Embiid and Paul George, assuming George ever gets healthy, and not look completely lost out there. That's not asking for an all-star. That's asking for a competent role player. But even that might be difficult because of the contracts Philadelphia has on the books. They're capped out, they're in the luxury tax, and they have very few assets to trade that other teams would actually want. So Morey's gonna have to get creative. Maybe he packages Eric Gordon with a 2nd-round pick. Maybe he finds a rebuilding team willing to take on salary for future assets. Maybe he makes a 3-team deal that nobody sees coming. But he has to do something, because the alternative is unthinkable. Imagine this. Imagine the Sixers do nothing. They wait for guys to get healthy, which based on this team's history could take weeks or months or never. They keep running out these undersized lineups that get bullied by real contenders. They keep losing games they should win. And by the time February rolls around and the real trade deadline hits, they're so far out of the playoff race that making a move doesn't even matter anymore. That's the nightmare scenario. That's what happens if Daryl Morey sits on his hands for the next 2 weeks. And honestly, after watching this franchise waste years of Joel Embiid's prime because they refuse to build a complete roster around him, nothing would surprise me at this point. But let's flip it. Let's say Morey actually does his job. Let's say he uses these next 2 weeks to scout the market, make calls, and pull off a trade that adds a legitimate rotation forward. Suddenly, this team looks completely different. You've got Embiid, when healthy, dominating the paint. You've got Paul George, when healthy, being that two-way wing scorer. You've got Tyrese Maxey, who's been the most consistent player all season, running the offense. And now you add a forward who can actually play defense and hit open shots. That's not a sad team anymore. That's a roster with pieces. That's a team that can make noise in a weak Eastern Conference. But it all depends on what happens in the next 14 days. And here's the thing that makes this even urgent. The East is wide open right now. The Cavaliers are good, but unproven in the playoffs. The Celtics are the favorites, but they're beatable. The Knicks are solid, but inconsistent. The Magic just embarrassed Philly, but they're young. If the Sixers can get healthy and add the right piece, they could absolutely make a finals run. But that window is closing fast. Every game they lose without making a move is another nail in the coffin. Every week they waste is another week closer to being a play-in team instead of a contender. The pressure is on Daryl Morey right now. He built this roster, he signed these contracts, and now he has 2 weeks to prove he can fix what's broken. So yes, the 76ers have no choice but to trade for a forward. Not because they want to, because they have to. This injury didn't create the problem, it just made it impossible to ignore. And whether this becomes the move that saves their season or the inaction that ruins it, we're about to find out real soon. By the way, the player who went down with the groin injury, the guy they absolutely cannot afford to lose right now, that's Trendon Watford. And if you don't know who he is, you're about to learn real fast why losing him changes everything. If you think the Sixers are making the right move, or if you think Daryl Morey is about to blow it again, drop your take in the comments. Hit that like button if you want to see this team actually do something for once. And subscribe because we're tracking every move this front office makes over the next 2 weeks. This is either going to be a masterclass in crisis management or another chapter in the most frustrating franchise in basketball. Let's see which one it is.